From beautiful downtown Millheim, in the smack dab center of the Keystone State, this is Lou Bryson with Seen Through a Glass, a podcast that's mostly about food and drink in central Pennsylvania. Welcome to episode 64, Shy Bear, Loose Goose. You know, back before the first episode of Seen Through a Glass even hit the internet, back when I had just bought this equipment and barely knew how to use it, I interviewed Jason Ufema, the owner of Shy Bear Brewing in Lewistown. It was early November in 2022 when folks were still a bit COVID wary, so we recorded out on the unheated porch of the brewpub. Then some other things came along, and one thing led to another, and the interview didn't actually release until January. If you've listened to some of those first 5 or 6 episodes, well, I hadn't quite hit my stride yet. Things settled into a groove around episode 8 or 9, a month or two later. Jason and I have talked about a do-over, and I think we both deserve it. Shy Bear certainly does. It's one of the best stops between Harrisburg and Pittsburgh. And that's why I went down to Shy Bear last week and talked to Jason again. We got caught up on the new beers he's been doing, and Shy Bear's continuing support for smoked beers, a favorite of mine. We talked about their toehold in Hershey and where that might go. You know, I've got to get to Hershey and take a look around for the show. There's a lot going on there. So I've got that fresh interview for you, plus a bonus interview from a central Pennsylvania newsmaker I wanted you to meet. We've got some local Oktoberfest news and a reminder that September 29th is fast approaching, and a reminder of what that means. Let's get started. And that means we need to talk about what I'm drinking today. It's another Oktoberfest today, this year's offering from Trogs. Speaking of places I need to visit in Hershey, I just put this keg on my home tap last week, so for the first time, I think, I'm reviewing a fresh poured draft beer here. Let's have a look. The look is pretty sweet. It is a perfect amber gold color. There's a nice cap of white foam on it. I really did. I poured this about a minute ago downstairs. You know, I had my mother make a beer flag for me one time. I think I may have put a picture of it up one time or another. This was when I was back in my 20s, and it was just for fun. And when she asked what I wanted the flag to look like, you know, it's exactly like this glass of beer. A nice golden amber color underneath, and then a band of white on the top. And that's what the beer flag looks like. I still fly it when we have parties at the house. So let's get a whiff here. Oh boy. I'll tell you, if you're used to smelling IPAs and just smelling pine and citrus and tropical fruit and lemon, whatever, this is completely different. This is a malty beer. It smells, wow, like a rich loaf of bread or even a just barely sweet pastry. It is a full, rich nose. Nothing sharp about this. This is pleasantly pillowed, if you will. There's maybe just a hint of roasted grain or maybe even just a tiny little touch of anise there. But it's good fresh bread. And you know, that's the flavor. The flavor is malt. When you make beer, this is what the smell in the brew house is like before you put the hops in. This is so fresh, so good. I love draft beer. I talked to a bar owner one time, one of the very first pieces I wrote back in the early 90s. And I remember him saying, draft beer is the brewer's gold. It's the best stuff they put out. There's very little done to draft beer. It comes out of the tanks, it goes into the keg, you keep it cold, and then you tap it. As I will mention in the interview, I have a very short line on my system. It's easy to keep it clean. I've learned how to clean the taps. It's pretty easy. Actually, cleaning the taps is really easy compared to cleaning the lines. I can keep my beer really fresh in that home tap, and this is just fantastic. Trogs, I know, is known largely for perpetual IPA these days, but it bears reminding that their first really big beer was Troganator. a lager beer, a double bock. Trogs is really good at lagers. John Trogner is really good at lagers. His brewing team is very good at lagers. It's not just John, obviously not. John's not up on the platform all the time anymore. But this is great stuff. I urge you to go out and get some. It's available in cans. I think it's available in bottles. And of course, it's available on draft, where finer beers are served. Oh boy, that's good. So now it's time, of course, for Smack Dab in the Center, sponsored by the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau. Yes, mugs high, my friend. It is Oktoberfest and harvest season all over the Northern Hemisphere, and Center County is doing its bit with fun fall festivals waiting for you. September 27th, coming right up, is our own Millheim Oktoberfest, a fun community benefit for the Millheim Volunteer Fire Company. And once again, I'll be manning the grill, cooking up bratwurst to go with the sauerkraut and potato salads, ham and cheese rolls if you don't think the worst is the best, and apple bread pudding, and maybe, this year, some schnitzel. Maybe. No promise. We'll have live oompa music with regional favorites The Little German Band to keep you swinging and swaying, and drinking delicious Elk Creek Oktoberfest beer the first day of release for this annual beauty. There'll be a 50-50 drawing and an auction near the end of the fest for pumpkins, huge pumpkins, and a variety of gorgeous potted mums. All proceeds benefit the fire company, and they also benefit you because they lead directly to having a great afternoon. September 27th, noon to 5 at the Millheim Fire Company grounds in the center of town. Free parking and cold beer. The next weekend, October 4th and 5th, is the annual Dutch Fall Fest in our neighboring town, Aaronsburg. This little fest just keeps getting better every year. There are 5 bands on Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., then local favorites Chicken Tractor Deluxe on Sunday at 12:45 and the J. Venata Jazz Quartet at 2:30. There's an outdoor church service at 9 a.m. on Sunday and pedal tractor pulls on both days, which are even more amusing than that sounds. There are crafts, fresh produce, great Pennsylvania Dutch festival food. The hot soups are great. A quilt display and raffle, a flea market, antique vendors, plus a special Pedals and Pints bicycle ride, the Apple Butter Loop. That's October 4th and 5th, 9 to 5 on Saturday, 10 to 4 on Sunday in happy little Aaronsburg, PA, less than a mile to the east of beautiful downtown Millheim. Fall fun as the leaves start to turn on our beautiful ridges. You can find more information under the Events tab at the Happy Valley Adventure Bureau website, happyvalley.com. Cheers! Okay, why did I really want to interview Jason Ufema again? I mean, maybe you're curious. A few of you might even be suspicious. It's an ugly world out there right now. It's pretty simple. Like I said, I did feel like I'd done an exceptionally poor job with the interview the first time around, both me and the equipment, so I wanted to do better. Spoiler alert, it's a lot better. But I also felt like doing a second go-round for exactly the same reason I started the podcast in the first place, letting people know about good stuff in Central PA. Because as I told you back then, Jason was the guy who suggested this idea in the first place, asking me why no one wrote about the breweries in Central PA and why did they get largely ignored. That mission quickly expanded to being about food and drink, and then kind of nudged out to the mostly about food and drink that we are now. And I wanted to talk about Goose Day some more, and there was Jason, who's kind of saved Goose Day a couple of times. Interesting story. You know, it's not always easy to find goose for the goose dinners and goose chili and goose fritters and loose goose, the delicious bits of cut-up roasted goose that local butchers sometimes sell for Goose Day, and you can get them and do whatever you want with them. But Jason's got connections and has hooked up local retailers and restaurants with a goose supplier from South Dakota. That kind of community support shouldn't go unrewarded. Plus, hey, Shy Bear has some excellent beer, and you ought to know about that. Their brewer, Roger McElvey, brings some solid experience to the platform, and it shows in the range of beers. From their flagship Jaybird Hazy IPA to sours and stouts, regular lager taps like their Logan Guard Pilsner or the Logan Light that's currently on tap, to more out there stuff like a fruited Lichtenhainer they had 2 years ago. It's a sour smoked ale that they made with lulo fruit, a beer I'm pretty confident calling unique. And it was good, too. I got a 4-pack to take home. We've been drinking Shy Bear in the basement bar the past 2 months, actually. After the Sierra Nevada Summerfest ran out at the end of June, I drove down to Lewistown and sampled a few drafts. I was thinking I'd wind up with the Logan Guard, or maybe the Brown Ale, maybe even the lightly smoked Drone Ranger. But I went home with the smartly hopped Goodwill Bunting Pale Ale, and we've enjoyed it immensely. Yes, I paid full price. There are no freebie kegs at the home bar. We did finally finish it 2 weeks ago, and now we're running that Trogs Oktoberfest I tasted earlier. 'Tis the season. Hey, we talk a little bit about draft beer in the interview, so let's get to it. Please welcome back to Seen Through a Glass, Shy Bear's Jason Ufema. Hey, I'm back with Jason Ufema at Shy Bear. Congratulations on being the first person to be interviewed twice.
Yeah, all right, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm doubling up right now.
That's right. I look back at the records. I interviewed you a week before the first episode of the show came out, back in November of 22. It was only the fourth interview really the fourth interview I'd ever done with this setup. And I think we'd both like a do-over on that.
Yeah,
so
that'd be good. High fidelity this time.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes. Took me less than half an hour to set up this time.
I love it.
There was something I wanted to ask right up so I don't forget it. New beers. What's coming on? What might be like people have the last chance to get in the next week? Beers going off too.
Last chance. We have a lot that are last chances at this point. Some that we've actually transitioned a little bit faster than others because of the Oktoberfest season.
Oh, so, stuff coming in.
Yeah, but our Marzen this year is just top notch. I mean, it's by far the best version we've ever made.
Nice.
The right amount of alcohol. I think we had this at 5.4. It was a little bit of syrupy ending to last year's that we just didn't want. Sometimes those biscuit malts will kind of give a little bit more residual sweetness than you generally attend to. So that this version this year is stellar. So we have that. We have our Schwartz beer that we just came out with. So it's, for those listening that don't know what that is, that's a dark German lager. So we
good name on that one.
Yeah. And then we have a lot of other new ones.
Is the Schwartz beer on or coming?
Schwartz beer is coming,
okay.
I believe, next week. I think we have a couple this week that are dropping out. So the main thing is just look forward to the fall beers at this point. Just of course the pumpkin. We have to have the pumpkin.
Have it.
Yeah, it's.
When we say next week, we're talking about the 20th.
Yes. Yeah. Everything leading up into Goose Day.
Right.
So our Goose Day festivities will have, of course, my dad joke pun beers. So Goose Lee is this year's. Version. So Goose Lee is a Nelson Sauvin dry hopped farmhouse tart ale with gooseberries.
Okay.
So that's our lineage to the goose there with the gooseberry. So it should be that should be a good one. That's going to be hitting on all of the levels that you want to go with food by itself. It just has, if you want earthiness, if you want the citrus, if you want the tartness, like all of it combined should be something pretty remarkable.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask about a smoked beer, so I might as well get that out of the way. You have a beer that's on called Drone Ranger.
Yeah.
The last time I was down here, I had some. I bought a 4-pack. Enjoyed a smoked Kolsch. Who the hell has a smoked Kolsch?
I know.
I went and did a search on that. I found 4 others in the world, and one of them's being made in India. Where did this come from? How do you make something as light as a Kolsch and not overpower it with smoke?
Well, I think there's a combination of things there. Roger, our brewer, has a deft ability to be able to understand what is going to ferment at what rate for different things, and with the smoked malt, knowing that if we're going with more of beechwood smoke, we could get and finalize a particular palate cleansing flavor with a Kolsch without going lager, without going Bamberg versions. We couldn't necessarily. I don't know if we could sell that in the summer knowing that we were launching that in the spring, I knew that was going to be a tough sell to also have something that was a little bit more copper, amber in color, plus a smoke.
Yeah.
So we felt that a lighter version and something that was still cold fermented, like a Kolsch to be, we kind of felt like all of those flavors would probably match, just as long as people were willing to take the risk in trying it. But it's like all beers. I mean, I would love to be able to tell you that it was an overwhelming success, but it's not. And anybody in the smoked beer world will know that you do it because we have 17 beers on draft. If we only had 5, there's no chance I would be putting on a smoked beer. So you can have we have a little bit of creative license when you have 17 taps.
Yeah. That was actually something I wanted to ask you about. You do run a lot of beers, and obviously they don't all sell out in a week or two. Mm-hmm. I just finished off the Sixtel I bought from you 2 months ago, and I put it on, and we kicked it, not this past weekend, the one before that. Last glass tastes as good as the first one. I have a one-tap setup. It has a 6-foot line. It's really easy to keep clean. Mm-hmm. It's almost zero effort on my part. Not quite zero, but close enough. 17 taps is a lot of work. What do you do? Tell us about what you have to do to keep that beer fresh.
Well, as you know, and most of your listening audience would know, like different beers are going to have certain shelf lives that cannot. It's the reason why we don't do a ton of IPAs at one time. And when we do, we know that when we launch a lot of IPAs, it's because we know that we have the volume to back it up. This time of year, that is part of the deal. So we are heavy on pale ales and IPAs right now, but they are 100% based on a shelf life. Especially hazy ones where the proteins will drop out, and you're going to also you have a particular kind of relationship with the beer at that particular time, where its flavor, its aroma notes that will dissipate very quickly, and the general body that if it's not there, and a hazy will drop out of suspension.
Nobody wants a non-hazy hazy.
No, and honestly, they have a better chance of oxidation. You're going to get a lot of different notes that you don't want. So we basically hit the ground running on hazy IPAs when we know we have the volume. And when we back off, then we know that we have Jaybird year round. And Jaybird is by far our stable of hazies. And honestly, no one's going to come here and say, oh, I don't have that many hazy IPAs on. They'll still have a Jaybird. It's not like they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
So it's I've never really understood the amount of places that I go, that the amount of beers that are synonymously probably the same exact beer with a different dry hop. I've never really understood that concept, but
like 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah. Like, no, it's not my cup of tea, but that's the reason why we all have different breweries. So.
Yes. You brought up Jaybird. You do have a lot of one-time or seasonal beers. Actually, I mean, a significant amount right now. Mm-hmm. I just looked at the tap list, and it looked like Jaybird was the only one that's a regular.
Logan Guard typically is always in.
I didn't see it on. That's what I was looking for. It.
We did a Logan Light this year. Just the idea of knowing that we have that little delicate balance between when we have Logan Guard on all year,
which is a Pilsner,
which is Pilsner, straight Pilsner, and then we have our Mexican lager, our Alta Vesa. So we launched that around the beginning of May with the idea of Cinco de Mayo, and that's always a very popular beer when it's starting to get warm. This year, with June being like July temperatures, June, and all of the rain and everything like that, we sold the Alta Vesa a lot faster this year than previous years. So Logan Light was that nice little mix between getting back into a little bit more of an assertive Pilsner, knowing we had a little bit more of that forethought that Alta Vesa typically runs out before the summer is over. So why don't we still put on something that's a little bit lighter in body, something that still is a little bit more quenching than a little bit more of an assertive bite in the with the dry hop Pilsner.
So there really is, I mean, when we talk about seasonal, we aren't just talking about a month on the calendar. We're talking about a beer that actually works with the weather.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are highly intentional about when we launch beers and when not to have. I mean, we will typically shelve beers and or pour them down the drain if it's no longer seasonal. There's no sense putting on a beer that is a pumpkin beer in February. I mean, it's like there's like people want it now, and they. I mean,
I'm sure if a couple people would drink it, but it's not gonna.
No, but it looks bad. It's a bad look. It's generally you take the excitement out of craft beer, which is what we're here to do. The minute that we start to kind of sanitize the ideas that we're just trying to do certain things because they make more business sense, sometimes doesn't necessarily always equate to a good experience. So we're very cognizant about that. And also with the food, we change the food up so often that the same thing is that people were like, oh my God, I came here and I had that thing last time and it's not here. I just can't believe it. And I said, well, we'll have it back again next fall, I mean, or next summer, I mean, it's no different than a beer, the way that we treat the food side. You build excitement for it, and there's something to promote when we put it back on.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know about other people. I like that anticipation.
Yeah, I think most people do too. They just don't want to admit it at the time because they're there for they're here for the one thing that they came here for, and then I took it away from them. So
yes.
It's
I mean, you don't want a fresh tomato salad in mid-March.
No,
it's just I'm not believing it.
Yep. Right.
That first interview was in 22. We were just coming out of COVID. Everyone knows that changed things, but like long COVID still affects people. Mm-hmm. It's still affecting us now.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah. So how do things run differently in 2025? Staffing, hours, menu, entertainment?
That's a loaded question that we'd have to unpack in different in different segments.
Yeah,
I would
think. There are a lot of
boxes
there, right?
There are. I mean, but the main thing I would say is that we're definitely more savvy in the idea of what the expectation is for dining. When in 22, I don't think we knew really what that was really going to look like. Mm. We had very. Our weekends were very busy, being an outdoor centric place. After COVID, and we haven't honestly experienced a lot of those big days since. Mm. But we have normalized a lot more between events and music and other things that we've created internally to be able to still captivate people's imaginations without necessarily just doing the same thing over and over again. So I kind of equate myself to really a glorified event planner at this point in my stage of development as a brewery owner. I feel that that's really more of probably my gift to the experience is that and as the leading by example, being here, talking to the staff, talking to tables, talking to everybody during that time has become even more important. You can't be a vacant owner in this day and age. You couldn't be a vacant owner in 22, but you certainly can't be a vacant owner in 2025.
Yeah, people really want that.
Yeah. I mean, and I would say it's like getting people to understand, getting our staff. I can honestly say since 2022, we've probably changed over maybe 2 or 3 staff members in 3 years.
That's it.
Maybe. I mean, and so I can tell you that we've never been more solid and deliberately, for lack of a better term, deliberately cognizant of what our staff people want out of their week. To know that we're only open Thursday through Sunday. Yeah. We expect them to really put the pedal to the metal. From Thursday to Sunday, and then you have 3 days off. And anybody in the hospitality industry to have 3 days off a week is what I know is a quality of life balance. But when you're here, we just ask that you're on top of it. Yeah. And we appreciate that, and we know that
this that industry kind of turnover, it's obviously working.
Yeah, and then I feel like it is, and I think that there's but we have a a lot of people that under our wing that have been with us and have continued to see the ebbs and flows of what the guest experience looks like to them too. So they have seen what it looked like when we would just be busy in spite of ourselves, and also now trying to get an idea of where do we fit in the grand scheme of the local populace, but that's still only about 25% of our total sales.
Yeah.
We still are a destination for people coming through the area, people who, we have families from Reading and Lancaster that they come here and then they drive home. It's, and I feel that's part of our, I don't really get it. And so
that was actually something I wanted to ask you. You're an hour from Harrisburg.
Yeah.
You're only 40 minutes from State College, hour from Lewisburg.
Yeah.
People who live in those places, or Altoona or Lancaster, who haven't been here, why pull off the road?
Well, where to start? Yes. Well, yes. You'll be overtaken by all of the things to look at. My wife's beautiful, number one. So that helps. The main thing I would say with anybody who hasn't been here and would be here before, and this is not a knock on the area, but more of the perception of the area, is that I believe that there's a bar that people mentally put into something. If they go to a rural area, they're not expecting to find aguachile on the menu. They're not necessarily expecting a smoked kolsch. They're not necessarily expecting proper glassware. They're not expecting an old-fashioned to taste as great as an old-fashioned should taste. So the way that bar was set pretty low in the beginning. Other people start to talk about it. They go to their hamlets and talk to other people about it. You have to, if you're ever through Lewistown, you have to stop at Shy Bear. Once they get here, then that bar has been raised, and you're trying to find ways that you're going to continue to ascend to the expectation. And so the expectation is really the play, not necessarily our delivering of the expectation, but where is that mindset going into their first visit? So we've found that that's more of the challenge for us, is how do we make it a music venue where people can still talk? How do you make it a beer venue when people are still coming for alternative drinks? How do you still become a beer-centric place when non-alcoholic drinks and mocktails are more part of the landscape? So you try to be true to your roots, but at the same time, let them grow. It's the best way as I can say. It's like your roots have to continue to seek new water. And so our way of being able to do it is through the entertainment, through the food, through the alternative drinks that are not beer focused, and let a lot of that matriculate to the grand experience. And that's all I can hope to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Managing expectations does not necessarily mean bringing them down.
Right.
Yeah.
And under that same analogy, and I was thinking about the whole root structure concept of that too, is that, plants can get overwatered too.
True.
So you have to also you have to still understand that we are still trying to make the best beer possible under the circumstance of a 10-barrel brewery. We don't have the volume to go out and be competitive against a lot of Pennsylvania powerhouses in the marketplace, and I don't really want to be. I don't seek to go after tap handles at restaurants. I don't seek to be top visible shelf, the fourth shelf from the top at a grocery store. That's not my goal, and I set out from the very beginning. I never wanted Shy Bear to be a ubiquitous brand. I wanted it to be, if you want to carry it, I will tell you that I won't sell it anywhere near you because I want people to be there and be surprised and be happy that that's something that's part of the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More desirable.
Yeah, in so many ways, and there's a lot of aspects to it that make the branding much more ideal too. I mean, if you see it everywhere, it then kind of desensitizes you to the idea of it being cool. Mm-hmm. And that's a multi-generational feeling. You know, that if you see it everywhere, it loses its cool factor.
Yeah, it's a real struggle to keep that interesting, that mystique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when the idea that everything we do on the outside is always to bring people back to Lewistown. That's always been my goal.
Right.
Our place in Hershey is designed to get people to know it, brand recognition, but at the same time, the goal is to get the full experience here.
I wanted to talk about Hershey. You've got what is it, like a stand? At the Fresh Market?
Fresh Market downtown. Right, most people are still unaware of what goes on in the Fresh Market, but it is really a glorified food hall. There's 15 food vendors on the top floor, and in the bottom floor, where we're located currently, it is they call it the garden level. It's more of a farmer's market kind of feel.
Okay.
So we're there just selling beer, but people can buy our beer there and also have any food on the second floor, and you can take our beer up there so that you can
drink there.
You can drink there,
okay.
And you can have our beer while eating. We do have some plans of expanding our presence in the Hershey area. A lot of that is still TBD, but it is something that we are committing to, that we feel that Hershey is a great spot for us, not just because of the socioeconomics of it all, but also it really is a little bit more of the beer culture that fits our brand. And I think that other areas, if they haven't already been oversaturated with craft beer, we feel like that area is still, I mean, when you're in the company of Trogs and somebody is coming through the area and they want to go to a real brewery, and they go to Trogs and they want to say, I am sure that there's 1,000 conversations a day that go on there to say, since we're in town, where should we go next? You know, I want to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
I want to be the place that a bartender at Trogs would say, well, you should definitely hit the Shy Bear.
And they will, because
Yes.
I've asked that question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's where I see, and because of the amount of tourists, the amount of events, the fact that Hershey is open container, where you can just buy a 4-pack of beer and walk down the street with it.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the only reason why they could do that is for you to be able to drink at Hershey Park. So,
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Hershey Park.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Woo-hoo! That's right. The Super Duper Looper came into focus for sure.
Right. Oh, that's all I had. Is there anything going on coming up that you wanted to talk about? I mean, I think we mentioned the Oktoberfest. This should be out before that.
Yeah, well, the Oktoberfest, our whole big week that if I can do a little shameless plug on that,
absolutely,
is so Friday we have the Bavarian Stompers. This is October 2nd.
Okay.
Friday, October 2nd, we'll have the Bavarian Stompers here. So if you're looking for that more authentic German experience where we can be clinking pints of beer while swaying to and from with waltzes and oompa,
right.
and that's your jam.
There you go.
Then I invite you here for that. And then all day Saturday is music with Velveeta at noon. And we have a band from Southern PA called the Collinsville Discount Band. They're here. It's
nice.
A fun dance band with horn section and everything like that. So they'll be here on Saturday.
Cool.
So that's kind of like our real kickoff to the. And since it's an away game at UCLA, I'm not gonna perturb any
right.
people coming here after the game not getting a seat. So it's that's the main thing there. And then also just on the Richco side, if I may, we are our cold brew coffee that has recently been launched we struck an agreement with the NIL aspect of Penn State Athletics. So we are the official coffee of Penn State NIL of Happy Valley United. So that's an exciting part of our expansion with our coffee line. And this is an oat milk based cold brew latte that's slightly sweetened, and it's going over gangbusters so far for anyone who tries it.
Can draft?
Yeah, it's just cans. 12-ounce cans.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's...
and you do always have cold brew on draft here?
Not on draft.
Okay.
We ended up taking that. We just kind of found that it was the quality was a lot better if we could just keep that in small batches.
Okay.
So yeah, we just found on that, because we were doing it on nitro, and we just felt like there was a little bit of there was just generally feelings that we would probably do better with it because we could use it as a cocktail. If it wasn't on nitro, so we do a lot of stuff with cold brew coffee for different kind of things with creams, the Talleyrand cream bourbon and cold brew coffee is that's a fantastic combination. So, yeah. And then the non-alcoholic side too. I do want to mention the zero proof cocktails that we partnered with Mike Tedesco up at Happy Valley Nomadic Spirits.
Oh yeah.
So
I need to talk to them.
Yeah. Our zero proof cocktails are doing really well too. That's also opening up our brand to a bunch of people who are either just not drinking anymore or are underage or whatever the situation is. But we have
I like to do an interval, non-alcoholic, in the middle of the night.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And we're just finding that there are people that it is also just something where you have a drink, you have a mocktail, you maybe have another drink later. There is an interspersing of drinks that happen. So between that and my band and running Rich Coast during the day and doing this on nights and weekends and trying to be a dutiful husband and father, it's
keeps you stepping.
I have plenty on my plate.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do this.
You got it
again.
Thanks, Lou.
I do appreciate it.
Yeah, hopefully this one comes out a little clearer.
Yes, I think it will. All right. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, bud.
Do not miss their Oktoberfest. Great music, and I get a taste of that fest beer that Jason talked about. No lie, it's top-notch stuff. And while we're talking about Lewistown, do not overlook that September 29th falls on a Monday this year. September 29th is Goose Day in the Juniata Valley. We talked about it a little bit 2 years ago, so I'll refresh your memories about this very central PA event. The lore is that it goes way back to 1786, when there was a Pennsylvania Dutch landlord in the area who settled accounts with an English tenant, or maybe he was his rent collector, once a year on September 29th. Why that date, the lore doesn't say. The Englishman showed up with the money due and a fat goose under his arm. He told the Dutchman it was an English tradition that it was good luck to eat goose on September 29th, Michaelmas Day, the feast day of St. Michael the Archangel. Eat goose on Michaelmas, it said, and you'll never want for money all year. Well, they've been eating goose in the valley on September 29th ever since. And in the 1970s, Mifflin and Juniata counties added Goose Day to their official calendar of holidays. Around 100,000 geese are sold in the area for Goose Day every year. It's not just in Lewistown, although that's where the big stuff is. There are goose dinners all over the area. I got mine at the Honey Creek Inn in Reedsville last year. And it's not just September 29th either, especially since that's on a Monday this year. There's a great drone light show after dark in Lewistown on Friday the 26th, for instance. There are goose dinners at a dozen different places, plus goose meat pies, goose soup, goose cookies. They're just goose-shaped, don't worry. Goose tacos, goose crepes, and blackberry crepes because blackberries are also lucky on Goose Day. Don't ask me why. Goose pizza, goose confit on Eggs Benedict. That's at the Shy Bear brunch. Yum. And golden goose lattes at East End Coffee. Hungry Run Distillery has a blackberry fizz cocktail. Hazards Distillery in Mifflintown has a blackberry moonshine. And Brookmere Winery down in Belleville has a special Tears of the Goose wine. Look, as you can probably tell, there is literally too much to tell you. So go to the Juniata River Valley Visitors website, jrvvisitors.com, and hit the button for Goose Day to get it all. I'm headed down. Might see you there. Get goosed. Let's return to your regularly scheduled programming at this time. I got an email out of the blue last week from Spotlight PA, the independent Pennsylvania journalism group. I first heard of them when a journalist I followed at the Philly Inquirer, Angela Columbus, left the paper to join them. I figured if she was headed there, it was worth a look, and I wound up subscribing. It's an all-online thing, and it's free, but I make regular donations. Anyway, I get this email from their new State College Bureau manager, David Abruzzese. It was just an outreach to a donor. Hey, would you like to meet for coffee and talk about what you'd like to see from Spotlight PA? Well, news of Central PA is what I wanted to see more of, and I thought, hey, maybe you all would like to hear that too. So I asked Dave if he'd mind a quick interview for the podcast. I asked him about what gets covered in Central PA and what we might see in the future. Because as we've been talking about, there's a lot more to Pennsylvania than just Philly and Pittsburgh. So here's David Abruzzese of Spotlight PA, recorded at our own Meandering Mallard coffee shop in beautiful downtown Millheim. Hey, I'm at the Meandering Mallard with David Abruzzese. He's the general manager for the State College Bureau of Spotlight PA.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having
me
on.
Good to see you. Yeah. I wanted to talk to you about, well, first about Spotlight PA. Can you briefly tell people what Spotlight PA is?
Absolutely, yeah. So Spotlight PA is a nonpartisan, nonprofit news organization where we started in Harrisburg, based out of there, and have grown. So that was in 2019. And have grown to start 2 bureaus, one in State College that services a 14-county, pretty large radius, and one in Berks, servicing Berks County, based in Reading. And, you know, the key is accountability, public service journalism, holding institutions, governments, the like accountable, and also keeping residents across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania informed on things that they should be informed about.
Yeah, I remember you had a number of stories on the corruption in Du Bois.
Yes. I've actually been talking. I've been talking about that one quite a bit to people. That's a great representation of the sort of work we try to do. And what's really nice about Spotlight exists to cut against the original model of news that has been declining rapidly, and I think every community feels it in a different way. Spotlight aims to complete and not compete. We have a news sharing program of about 150 organizations now across I think 130 organizations across the state. Within the State College region, our sharing program, our partners are statecollege.com, the CDT, Center Daily Times, and WPSU. And what that entails is they can run our stories in full. They have to be in full. That's the only caveat. But they can run as many as they choose. It could be 1, it could be 10, however many, free of charge. So it's just a great way. And typically when I talk to people, that's how they come to know Spotlight. They've seen it somewhere else, and that's why.
Right.
And it's a different model, a nonprofit model, just to try to fill coverage gaps. And as we grow, we want to. We just want to do more of what we're doing. If that means another bureau, more reporters, things like that. And that's part of the thing too. We've come a really long way especially in State College. We're still a pretty small team. It's about like 5 people, and there's a lot of stories to tell. So our ears are always open, and we're always looking for, what's that next story to tell. But that is what we do. Just trying to keep Pennsylvanians informed.
Yeah, but on the other hand, you don't have to have a staff for advertising. You don't have to have a...
Right.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about it either.
Yeah, and the thing, too, it's really nice is, we do journalism how we think it should be done. We're not going for a sensationalized headline. We're not going for clicks. We don't have advertisers to cater to. I'm working on generating sponsorship interest for our newsletters, but that's more from a visibility standpoint, rather than, we have to get this many clicks. Like that is not how we operate. And it's really, I think it's, for me, I knew about Spotlight just being kind of connected to the journalism world. With I was a managing editor for a semester and sports editor for onwardstate.com in college, and so I always try to keep my finger on the pulse. And I always appreciated the sort of work that Spotlight does to go in depth and not be afraid to tell any story. Yeah. I really emphasize the nonpartisan element, because I have had people ask me, like, how do you, like, are you really nonpartisan? I'm like, yes, we'll tell the stories that need to be told, no matter. We're not trying to appease anybody. We're just trying to tell the facts.
Story.
Yes, exactly. So it's been really fun for me. I've learned so much more about the State College community, and beyond. And that's been probably my favorite part about the job. And I love seeing where we can take it and what things we can connect. And the other term I like to use is turning stones over.
Seeing what's under there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to turn it over to see. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I like the idea of news that Pennsylvania news that isn't necessarily, because all we ever hear about is Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. Right. There's more to the state.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what kind of stories are you looking at in central Pennsylvania?
Well, so a bigger one off the top of my head is, with reporting on the Board of Trustees, there was a lawsuit.
Penn State.
Penn State. Yeah. Penn State's Board of Trustees, and just trying to keep a little more transparency. The most recent kind of relevant case was the campus closures, and just how demanding a bit more transparency from the board and from Old Main to just keep people informed of what's happening. Our reporting was kind of the catalyst for the announcement of the campuses that are closing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of that is just to keep people informed, and just again keep transparency at the forefront. That's been one of the bigger things. I know there's been some I will call it like municipality reporting on one of the water authorities and some work that's happening there. And a lot of anybody who's listening, if you're interested, our Talk of the Town newsletters where all of this sort of gravitates to. We have obviously our website, but the newsletters are great. They go straight to your email. Mm-hmm. And it's a great way to kind of see our reporting first before it hits the site.
Right.
And then, we just went daily with the Talk of the Town. It used to be weekly.
Okay.
Now it's every weekday. I believe it was every Thursday. Now it's every weekday. And each day is a little different. Sometimes it'll be, hey, you're planning a hike. Here's some great thoughts and ideas.
Okay, so this isn't just all...
It's not just news.
Yeah, okay.
It's news with other elements of what's happening in the community.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to grow that by trying to, talk, like I said, with businesses and individuals and make people aware of it, but also if people have stories to tell and things they want to talk about and maybe advertise to people within this area regionally and statewide, because mm-hmm. we have newsletters that kind of cover that statewide aspect as well. But yeah, it's a fun blend of things, and it's been fun for me to kind of be boots on the ground, going out to different places and trying to make those connections.
Yeah, it's kind of like we do, except without the food and drink.
Absolutely. Yeah, right. Exactly.
So the value of Spotlight PA to the average citizen in central Pennsylvania.
Yes, information. Knowledge is power, and we aim to report on things that people should know about. Actually, another good story that I just referenced, I was referencing somewhere else. This is a great, kind of captures the essence of it. So out by the University Park Airport, mm-hmm. Which I think they changed the name of that, but that's what it has been for a while.
We all know what it is.
Penn State's airport,
right.
out in State College, and there were some issues with maybe a lack of proper testing with some of the wastewater in that area, and it only affected, and I don't mean only trivially, but it affected 9 homes in mm-hmm. in an adjacent neighborhood. And Spotlight went in depth. Our reporters went in depth on that, to kind of uncover what happened there. The end of the story is, there should have been more testing. There should have been more. Those homeowners and those residents should have been made aware of some of the issues that were present in the wastewater, or in the water, or I think it was the groundwater. But again, it 9 homes, right? But
right.
That's important. And
it is important.
Because of our model and because of how we're funded and how we exist, essentially, we can do those stories. And we want to do the stories that people aren't doing just because they have value to the public. So again, I think that number one thing is just information that impacts your life. And another thing that we do that a lot of people enjoy is every election season, a very in-depth rundown of all the candidates.
Oh yeah, I've referenced
mm-hmm.
that all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was actually one of the first things I knew about Spotlight before I voted in a local election. I brushed up on my knowledge through that. And it's stuff like that, just keeping people informed so that they can take actionable decisions.
Again, like I said, I did look at it nonpartisan.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it is just a rundown and description of all the candidates.
Yep.
It's not endorsements. It's not
here is who we are. Here is what you need to know.
Yeah.
Now you make the decision however you may, and that applies to every facet of reporting that we do. And we're really thankful for our donors, like yourself. Again, every bit counts because we're able to do what we do because of people like you. And my goal is to spread awareness of what we're doing, to try to see where we can go with that.
Yeah.
Because what's also really cool about the people who read Spotlight and contribute to Spotlight, everyone has a why. That why is different across the board. That's what makes it fun. That's what's fun for me to learn when I talk to people, but everyone does have a why. So that just recipe works,
Mm-hmm.
So we aim to, if there's anything we cater to, it's to people's whys and to keep them informed. So yeah, information and knowledge is the number one thing that Spotlight hopes to provide communities across Pennsylvania.
God knows we need it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All
right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Sure.
It's it's been a lot of fun, and there's so much potential, and I just want to, any little way that I can, do that. And if you don't mind, the other thing I talked to you about before we started, we are hoping to launch a newsletter titled, tentatively titled, I believe, I'll say tentatively titled just in case it changes between now and whenever, but the Good News newsletter. And what we want to do with that is go to organizations, nonprofits. It could just be people in any of our communities, kind of across the Commonwealth, specifically for we'll say jurisdiction, our 14 county coverage range, which, it's centralized in State College and goes all around, right? But I want to go, I'm seeking funding opportunities so that I've been trying to generate business underwriting support to get it off the ground. But, if we're able to get a larger bit of funding, what I'd then be able to do, and what I hope to do, is just go to organizations and see what stories are there to be told. Who's doing good work? What are they doing? What do these organizations want people to know about the work that they're doing? And, as I said, if 20 people read that and say, so an example, we're working on an edition, the first edition, because we got a little bit of support for it. The Good Day Cafe, which is it's a cafe in it's just outside of town, and it's really, really cool. It's everybody who works there. It helps individuals with developmental disabilities, gives them a structure, a job, and it's a coffee shop. And what my hope for that edition is I want to tell the story of the Good Day Cafe, and maybe if 20 people say, "Oh, I've never heard of that. I'm going to go have a cup of coffee." That's awesome. Actionable. It's in line with what we hope our information helps people do, which is make actionable, informed decisions. So that's one of the major things I'm working on, amongst plenty of other things. And
I've been wanting to do a story. There are some companies in Central PA that are working with people transitioning out of prison.
Yeah,
that's wonderful work.
It is.
And I'd like to spotlight that.
Exactly, it's important, and that is something that is right in line. So cool. hope to grow it, and but thank you for the opportunity to kind of share a bit about the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm glad this came together.
Yeah, this is awesome.
All right, cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
To check out Spotlight PA, to subscribe to the free emails, or to donate, head over to their website, spotlightpa.org. Now, what else? Oh, right, American Whiskey Masterclass launches next week. I'll have book signing events at Dad's Hat and Stolen Wolf distilleries. Then I drop down to the new Sisu Bottle Bar in Baltimore. And then I've got a whole Midwest tour coming. The Independent Spirits Expo in Chicago, Great Lakes Distilling in Milwaukee, Blum Brothers Distilling in Galena, Illinois, a visit to Cedar Ridge Distilling in Iowa and Whiskey Acres Farm Distillery in Illinois. And then we wind up in Michigan at the Barrel Aged Beer Festival at Journeyman Distillery I was at last year. More details as they come. Yes, one more Oktoberfest plug. On Friday the 3rd and Saturday the 4th, it's the 20th annual Mifflinburg Oktoberfest, with the commemorative mugs, order yours right away, and great German fest beers, and the ceremonial tapping of the hometown favorite, Rusty Rail Brewing's Oktoberfest. There's a caravan of food trucks and some great crafts and local food makers for shopping, and music both days, live Oompa music from 2 to 9 on Saturday. This is a good one. Mifflinburg does great festivals. Just Google Mifflinburg Oktoberfest 2025 to get more information, and seriously, order your mug today. They usually sell out before the fest. That's the show. Thanks to Jason Ufema for another interview, and to David Abruzzese for turning a simple donor meetup into a tables-turned interview. You can find pictures for this episode at Instagram at Stag Podcast and on Facebook at Seen Through a Glass. If you'd like to toss a bit in the hat to keep the show going, I have a coffee button in my Instagram linktree. That's at Stag Podcast and at the Facebook page. Thank you. Have you ever had Old Forge pizza? The rectangular pizza made in Old Forge, Pennsylvania? There's a very crisp, crunchy bottom, then a lusciously gooey middle, and then a peppery, bright sauce with a layer of cheese on top. Cheese that might be mozzarella, or brick, or provolone, or even American, or a mix of all four, served in pieces the locals call cuts. New Jersey hates it. Most people have never heard of it, but Old Forge proudly proclaims itself the pizza capital of the world. Okay, probably not, but take this under consideration. They've been making pizza this way in Old Forge since the 1920s, and the legendary Frank Pepe's in New Haven has only been around since 1925. And Uno's didn't start making Chicago deep dish until 1943. Old Forge is OG. And I'll tell you this, if you get a carafe of the house red, a couple trays of cuts, and set to it with some family, Old Forge pizza is a great meal. As my friend Rich Pollack happily announced as he led us into our first encounter, Old Forge pizza, it's the best! Why am I telling you about pizza? Because I finally got the original Italian pizza story. There are about 100 of these pizza shops scattered across central PA, and I didn't know if they were a franchise or a single-owner business, just a commonly used name, and it was making me nuts. Now I know, and I've got the son of the guy who started it all on the mic to tell you, and he let at least one never-before-revealed story slip out. You gotta listen to this one. Until then, thanks for listening. This is Lou Bryson with Seen Through a Glass from the smack dab center of the Keystone State.